Hello everyone, Manathrall here, and welcome to a little bit about the mining and smithing rework that is upcoming. And also, I wanted to give some channel information at the end of this. So do keep in mind I want to give a little bit of both. But I mainly want to go over the mining and smithing rework first. Where's my guy going? I said configure, my friend. Configure. We'll go with prayer for that, but I mostly want to go for the power generator. Okay, so the mining and smithing rework is quite interesting. Sorry, that was a little bit loud in my headphones. Yeah, so the mining and smithing rework, not a whole lot has actually changed since the last time they had talked about it. All they really did during the stream, I watched a video on YouTube because I'm not able to watch the stream because I'm at work. But all it really did was make show more in depth of what is going on. There's a few changes since they last talked about it, but not too much overly more. And by that, what I mean is, now there is, instead of stackable ore, they thought about it and they agreed with some of the feedback they got. That is no longer a good idea. They liked the idea, but they didn't like the idea, if that makes any sense. So that, they are getting rid of that. So that part's gone. The tiredness effect is still there. And all the tiredness effect really does is, the higher your level is, the higher your mining level, I should say, the less often it'll occur. And the higher your agility level, that's actually getting annoying. The higher the agility level, the shorter your time break will be if you are AFK. If you're actually there and you're interactive, you can just click and your guy will resume mining. And also, apparently every 1 minute, kind of like this, which has been every 10 seconds, but every 1 minute there's going to be an explosive rock, if you will. And this rock will give you a boost of XP for 1 tick. That's all it is, but it's a boost of XP. So you're getting XP, much like I'm doing right now. You know, you're getting it per tick. So it's pretty good. But of course, the better the pickaxe you're using, so the better the gear you're using, the better. The more interactive you are, the better it gets. You know, those kind of things. Where if you're not very interactive, if you don't upgrade your pickaxe, which actually, if you're not using the highest pickaxe you can, you're going to not only receive less XP, but it'll take you longer to get the ore because you have to fill your progress bar. So much like the adrenaline, you know, that bar will build. And once that bar builds is when you get your ore. So once you get your ore, you get 1 ore. But that's how the mining one works. It's not too bad. They did add the luminous, which is now the secondary for at least adamant and rune. I'm not sure. They didn't really go into much detail about the higher ones. But so that's how that is. Coal, they're working on a new thing. They're thinking it's going to be about being able to have higher heat temps, but that's when it comes to smithing. So we'll actually go into smithing now. Oh, before I go into smithing, your pickaxe is actually going to be have a lot more of an impact. By that I mean, if you use a low-level pickaxe, eventually you won't be able to mine the high-level ores. So you actually have to keep upgrading your pickaxe, which is actually good. You should have to upgrade them. Now, for people who were worried about like the values of the dragon pickaxe and dragon gear, crystal pickaxe, and crystal gear, the crystal stuff will be stronger than, and the dragon stuff will be stronger than the smithable equivalent. So it'll be stronger than it, but the other stuff is still going to be an alternative. So it's still going to be good. It's just not going to be quite as good as, you know, the rare drops like Dragon. Currently, they are wondering if they should keep with that plan or not, and my guess is they're probably going to, because it's going to cause too much of an uproar, and it's going to cause a huge economy crash, because, I mean, come on. Dragon plate bodies being worth nothing because people can now make them without actually having to go out and, you know, kill these creatures, which will lose, you know, those creatures' appeal because it's a unique drop. The other big impact is they're no longer going to be giving away any smithing, mining, well, I guess basically any melee type drops from PVM. So that means all your ores, your bars, actual made melee gear, all that stuff will be gone from the drop tables. There's going to be stuff that will replace its value, but it's not going to be that. So do keep that in mind. It's also going to have a big impact on, you know, your components. And one thing I think they should do eventually is have component bags, like actual component drops. And occasionally you can find a bag of components and you open it up and there's a random thing of components within that resource. I think that would actually be a good idea. It would help make up for getting rid of these items out of there. So that's actually what's all going on with mining. It's not bad, but it'll be interesting. And they do plan on having this all in a beta server before it goes live. They do want you know, us, the players, to test it out before they do it. Otherwise, you know, let's get into the smithing aspect. A lot like the mining aspect, you know, you have your progress bar when you smith the item. And pretty much every single furnace and anvil area is going to become kind of like the artisan's workshop. So you no longer have to worry too much about lugging your stuff back and forth. They're planning on having a hopper, which you could store all your ores and your bars right there. So that'll be kind of handy, actually a lot more useful. And then if you want to, you can keep upgrading the gear until it becomes a decorated piece, and then you can just turn it in for a hefty chunk of XP. Or you could just keep making this stuff and then sell off the tier that's right before the highest one, because they're talking about not having the highest one be tradable. This way, if people want to make a good chunk of money, they can make the highest one before it becomes non-tradable and sell those off. This way, people who just want the XP can buy that highest tier, finish it off, and trade it in for the bigger chunk of XP. So there is methods. So it's very interesting to see how this is going to go. But there's also going to be heating temperatures while you're smithing. So occasionally while you're at the anvil, the hopper, the heater is going to be right there. So all you have to do is take your unfinished item, use it on the hopper. As a little bit of time passes, it wasn't much time. As a little bit of time passes, it'll regain its temperature, and then you'll be able to go back into smithing. Of course, the higher the level of the item, probably the harder it is going to be to obtain. Well, finish. And the temperatures will probably drop faster too. But otherwise, you know, there's going to be new gear. There's going to be new items. It's going to be very interesting. It's actually going to be very good for smithers and miners. And there is going to be new ores. There's a bunch of stuff to be said about it. The only thing is that with the tiredness effect, that one I'm not too sure on, because they're incorporating agility into it. That one I'm not too sure about. I mean, I like it, but I'm just not sure how well it's actually going to go over, is what I'm saying. But that's pretty well about it. I mean, there wasn't too much actually in that 1 hour live stream that we didn't already know, other than their current plans. And it is planned to go into a beta server before it goes live. So do also keep that in mind. They do want to get a full amount of feedback to make sure it's working the way people want it to work. But then also, they did say that this will not be happening this year, clearly. But they're looking for the early part of next year. So it's very hard to say exactly when in the early part of next year. But it should be, if they say the early part of next year, it should be the first quarter. So look for it within possibly the first 3 months of 2018, which is very good news. I know personally I'm actually really looking forward to it. I know they were saying about the effects it could have on Iron Man accounts, but if you think about it, it's actually very beneficial to an Iron Man account. Because no longer will we have to worry about, going out and acquiring high-level gear, when now we can just make it. So if you're kind of stuck like I am with your melee gear, and the best thing you can get is Dragon, now I can smith whatever the tier 80 equivalent is. So that I'm not minding that. I think it's going to be kind of good. I think it's going to help me out tremendously. But that's actually it for the mining and smithing rework portion of the video. So thank you for watching that. And if you guys want to see more about the channel information, please stay tuned. Okay, so for the channel information, there's some stuff that I recently had done with my computer. I had updated my SSD drive and my hard drive. Now, the reason why I did this is because my old hard drive was, kind of old. It was in my old computer, the one I originally had. So the hard drive was probably about at least 5-6 years old. And I liked it. It still works good. It's just I wanted to get a bigger hard drive, and I wanted to get a gaming hard drive so things can load better and faster. My current issue right now is more internet lag. It's snowing and bad weather here, so it's one of those kind of things. But that was actually another thing with the internet, is that I actually have a better router now, so my connection speeds are a bit better. It's performing a bit better. It has dual processors in it, so it's actually doing better. But before I actually went to go use it, I wanted to make sure certain things were changed over, like the hard drives, and then I had to make sure my Windows and all that was updated. But another part of that, the reason why I was going for that, is because I don't have to see the disc around here, but I want to get my editing software going. And I didn't want to have, here it is. I didn't want to have my editing software on my old computer, then have to redo it again, and blah, blah, blah. So this weekend, I will be having some of that going, and I will be learning how to properly use editing software, as well as I'm going to be looking into learning how to appropriately make thumbnails for videos instead of just using a clip from the video itself. I'll actually be trying to start making my own thumbnails, because this is all stuff I've been wanting to do. And what this means for the channel is the PlayerUnknown battle matches. There will still be matches here and there, of course, but there's also going to be death videos. There's going to be kill, videos. Like I call them wins and losses videos, but there'll be those. Stuff for the Final Fantasy videos. I know some people enjoy watching all the combat there is to those kind of games. Not everybody does. Some people just want to see the story. They want to see more progression. But those kind of games, they're not like that. They're not overly fast-paced. They're kind of slow-moving. What this will enable me to do now is I'll be able to chop out those sections. I'll leave some bits and pieces of combat in there, but it'll be able to help me chop those sections out and get you guys more of the story in one episode, rather than having, one kind of big episode, but kind of very little story. So that's what's actually going to be going on now. It's just a point of me properly learning the software and getting that going. But also, I do want to say that I will be having 3 review videos coming actually here shortly. One for the SSD drive and one for the hard drive. Mainly the hard drive, because there's a lot of negative reviews on it. The SSD, of course, you know, I'm going to be having, you know, that going, but then also the new modem / router I got too. I'm going to have that actually be reviewed as well. Because so far, well, I like giving you guys the reviews this way. If you guys see it, if you guys like the item, but you're not sure, even if you're not even used to the channel, this way, you know, somebody's looking for that particular hard drive, they want to know about it, I can actually help them out. And also, it'll give me a good chance to actually use my recording and editing software to start doing more with that. But that also means that since I'm going to be doing more editing with my videos, and not everything is going to be edited, so don't worry about that. Like the boss battles, I will not be fast forwarding boss battles. If I want to have a kill montage to show you all my drops after an hour, you know, that's fine there. You know, I can fast forward that and make it go really super hyper fast. But, you know, actually explaining a boss battle, that will never happen. You know, in a fast forward pace. Or quest guides, I will not skip over stuff in a quest guide unless I forget an item, have to go back and come back. I will chop out that kind of a section. Or if, you know, I mess up, you know, I'll leave where I messed up, but then cut out where I get back to where I was. This way you guys don't have to see all of that all over again. So it's actually going to be very good. It's just I have to get used to the software first. And the first thing I'm going to be experimenting with is probably a PlayerUnknown's loss streak or win streak. So it's kind of hard to say because, well, that game is hard to say because I never know how I'm going to do. Some matches I do extremely well, other matches I do extremely horrible. So there you have it. But that's actually the news for the week. I wanted to let you guys know that because it's actually kind of big news if you ask me. But that'll actually do it for today's video though, so thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, later guys.